have Europe as border, and then the ocean is Atlantic Ocean. So I want to give you a history of human rights violation in a nutshell. In the 60s, 1960s, 1964, you see the placement. This because the Alcoa bauxite company built a hydro dam in our territory, and almost 9,000 Samaka was forced to relocate. About 29 Samaka communities was flooded. And in the 1997, the government granted gold concession within our territory. So nowadays, a few communities are literally living on the gold, but they are not allowed to make use of this gold. It's because they have a multinational, first a Canadian company called Golden Star, now a Chinese company take over the gold, the biggest mine company in Suriname. Then because of all this violation in the 1986 to 1991, we had armed conflict. Some rebellion, Maroon, start a war with the army. So many Maroons and indigenous people were killed during this armed conflict. And in 1993, the government again grant concession to multinational. This is logging concession. So they start logging and pollute water, destroyed farm, and all these people, things of our people. Well, Samaka people, human rights and environmental defenders. Most of you are aware of the Samaka judgment. So because of all this violation, we filed a case against the state of Suriname in 2000. And in 2007, the court ruled in our favor. And I'm happy to see someone here who was working for our Stingy case, because we were inspired by our Stingy side so that we could file our case. And this Samaka judgment set international jurisprudence to make FPIC as required for major development project through the Americas. But till today, 16 years after the judgment, the state of Suriname still not fully comply with the judgment. There's a lot of violation going on, violation of the judgment, but also human rights by logging companies, and the state still grant new concession, although they are not allowed to do so because the judgment forbid this. Well, and then as part of the, because in my opinion, the most important part of the judgment is the to change the law to make sure that our land right is legal recognized. And we start from 2007. The former president came with the so-called Busconde Protocol. So he was just decided to, from his office, to come with a presidential decree to say, so this is what the land right is. And then we rejected it together with our brother and sister from the indigenous people, because there was no free, prior, informed consent, and self-determination right was not respected. In 2006, the first draft framework law was also discussed among indigenous and tribal groups in a meeting. And you can see the timeline. The first draft of collective rights was written in collaboration with ITPs. So it has been disappointment that this version was rejected by the government of Suriname. And in 2000, the second draft was written without the input of indigenous and tribal people in Suriname. And in 2023, this year, the 31st of January, our National Assembly start the debate on this draft law. There's, from January till now, there's two debate was organized, because there's still people in the government, for instance, the business people, they don't like this law, and they are influenced the politics, so they do everything to stop the discussion. And the latest violation, my friend Louis will inform you about the latest development in indigenous community, Pikisaron, where 2 people are killed, but it's because of logging. And in our territory, the government has granted a concession, this one, to a Malaysian company, and all this, that's Samaka. Samaka land is the one you see in between the black circle, and the blue part is the lake, the Afubaka Lake, where the hydro dam was, so this part of Samaka land was flooded in the 60s. So this now going on, and the Malaysian, they are now working, try to construct a road against opposition of we and of the Samaka people. So we are now working on advocacy to make sure that we have the support of international advocacy organization to see how we can stop this, and of course make sure that the court's judgment that the state comply with. Hi, Louis. And on the 23rd of April, we organized a meeting where nearly 500 Samaka people gathered to discuss the current violation by Palmeiras Logging Company. The meeting resulted in more than 465 Samaka members reinforced the mandate of the association to take action against this multinational company. But one of the things we also do is that we make sure that the young people are on board. So we start last year, 2022, with a group of Samaka young champions to make them ready to take over the work. So they handed over a petition to the government that helps stop a bridge over the Suriname River. Current and future action support seek international visibility through the support of an international advocacy organization, have in place a security plan for the Samaka leaders defending environmental and human rights. Because don't forget, when you are working on this team, you get a lot of threats. So these company, they are sometimes mafia, and they try to force, but also the politic influence people, they don't like us at all. And I think as a result of this forum, we can come to a regional monitoring of the compliance of the judgment, and maybe we can discuss and find out a strategy how we can get the court to better monitor his judgment. Gracias, Gantangi, thank you. So I have also a short video to show you, that you maybe have a better understanding of what I just saying.
watershed for over 300 years. They have a deep spiritual and cultural connection with the land and have preserved it through their customary laws and traditions. However, over the past 30 years, Samaka communities have struggled to defend their land against intrusive logging and gold mining activities. In the 1990s, the government of Surinam granted logging concessions to multinationals in their territory without consulting them. For almost a decade, their forest was exploited, causing the destruction of agriculture fields and pollution of drinking water sources. In the year 2000, the Samaka decided to stand up and defend their territory against these threats and fights for the legal recognition of their land rights. They organized themselves into the Association of Samaka Authorities and filed a petition to the Interamerican Court of Human Rights. The petition asked for support to stop human and land rights violations in their territory. This led in November 2007 to the issuance of a binding judgment by the Inter-American Court of Human Rights in favor of the Samaka people, known as the Samaka Judgment. It required the state of Surinam to legally recognize their land rights and stop any logging and infrastructure development inside the Samaka territory, and fully apply free, prior, informed consent procedures. However, 15 years have passed since the ruling of the court, and the government of Surinam still does not comply with the Samaka judgment. On the contrary, their land rights are still not legally recognized, and logging concessions continue being granted without free, prior, informed consent. Moreover, the issuance of community forest concessions is another violation of Samaka rights. These areas granted to individuals from the communities are presented by the government as a way to legitimate Samaka people's rights to the forest. However, in practice, these forest concessions delegitimize and violate Samaka communal systems of property, creating internal conflicts, elite capture, and internal corruption. Since 1 year ago, Samaka communities have been struggling again to protect their land against a new destructive intrusion. A logging company has gained access to their concession on the east side of the Samaka territory. Despite opposition from the Association of Samaka Authorities, the logging company, with the support of few Samaka individuals who disregard the community's stand, has built a pontoon to mobilize heavy machinery across the river, and has begun road work without obtaining the Samaka's free, prior, informed consent. As a result of this access, thousands of valuable logs are exploited illegally. This road poses now a significant threat to the livelihoods and sustainable use of forest resources maintained by the Samaka. More importantly, the forest itself has customary and spiritual value for them. The road would facilitate access for illegal gold miners and more loggers, causing widespread habitat destruction. With human and recurrent land rights violations, the Samaka people are taking fresh action to advocate for the legal recognition of their ancestral land rights and demand that the government of Surinam fully complies with the Samaka judgment. As stewards of more than 1 million hectares of tropical rainforest, the Samaka people ask the international community to support their efforts to protect their land.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Nice,
Vamos a
nice.
continuar con una presentación más de los
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Some of our folks back home, maybe you know Max Oaf. He is very good in Spanish. But unfortunately, me and my colleague here, we're not so good in Spanish. But we manage English a little bit. So I'm going to talk about Suriname indigenous people. You've heard about the Samaka people, the Samaka judgment, and they started way back to do their homework. You know, before you go to the international court, you have to do a lot of homework. You have to have all your evidence before you go to court. That is one lesson we have learned also. And when the Samaka went to the court, we as indigenous people, we weren't aware. We were just looking, oh, the Samaka people, they're going to the court, oh, indigenous people will get their land rights. We were thinking it was that easy. But then we started to learn, become aware that it's not easy up till now. Okay, so I will give a shorter presentation than the usual because we have lots of technical stuff, but you all know that already. So I want to give you some of the background, content of the petition, timeline, main provision of the judgment in the judgment. But I want to tell you about VITS, that is pronunciation in Dutch. VITS is the Association of Indigenous Village Leaders in Suriname, all the indigenous leaders. So I am also a member of the Indigenous Village Leaders because in my village I'm the assistant chief. After the chief, you have me. And this is the main organization. And it is based in the city, the capital, Paramaribo. But we are in the east side of Suriname. We border with French Guiana. And then we have also 8 indigenous tribes there. And we have our own separate organization that is called the CLIR. We will see that. Yes, yes, the FITS was established in 1992, and they have also an administrative office called Bureau FITS. So you have the traditional authority FITS, and you have the Bureau FITS that does the work for the traditional leaders. Because you know you have, when you get support, it doesn't go direct to the leaders, it goes to the Bureau because you have to fill all the formalities. So there has been a lot of violations, as my colleague was saying before, and also I could hear the voices of the Garifuna people that were before me. It's mainly the same, and we started in 1999, we started to raise awareness in the indigenous people communities. You know, indigenous peoples they're not dumb, but they are like, they don't matter what happens tomorrow. they live for today. That's the way of indigenous people. So maybe there's something going on. They say, oh, leave it. We will manage. But the pressure was coming and coming more and more and more. So we started with the awareness campaign way back in 1999. And we started in 2000 to begin to demarcate the areas of indigenous people. Because by that time also we had a case in our country. No, there was a Chinese guy having a case against indigenous people. And he won the case because we couldn't show on paper that indigenous people were before a Chinese. And you know, indigenous people were always there. It's a land given by God. But we couldn't show it. And you know, the directors, the judges, they work with paperwork. So if you cannot show something on paper. So we done all those homework, as we call it. So in 2007, we filed a petition against the state, finally. Yeah, I told you before, we done a lot of homework. We sent a lot of letters, official letters to the government, asking them to have dialogue. Sometimes they do as if they want to hear us, but in the end, it will be the same, up till now. So we have our international lawyers. Our first lawyer is Mr. Fergus. I think some of you know him. He's one of the best lawyers in the world. We have Mr. David Padilla. I don't know if he's still a lawyer because I think he's getting older too. By the time he was a little bit more flexible, and there was this lady